Well, folks, it seems like we've got some rare good news in the often confusing world of economics. It's not every day that we get to share a bit of optimism, especially when it comes to the financial markets and the broader economy. Usually, we're inundated with reports of rising costs, shrinking budgets, and the ever-looming threat of recession. But today, we have a glimmer of hope. Inflation, that sneaky beast that eats away at your hard-earned dollars, has been a constant worry for consumers and businesses alike. It's like a shadow that follows us, making everything from groceries to gas more expensive. But today, we have a bit of a reprieve. It seems that inflation has decided to take a bit of a breather. This isn't just a minor slowdown, it's a significant pause that could have meaningful implications for our wallets and the economy at large. Imagine being able to plan your budget without the constant fear of prices skyrocketing overnight. That's right, the pace at which prices are rising has slowed down more than expected in April. This unexpected slowdown is a welcome change, providing some much-needed relief to consumers and businesses. It's like a breath of fresh air in a room that has been stifling for far too long. Now, I know what you're thinking. John, you're talking about economics, and you're using words like breather and sneaky beast. Have you gone soft? Well, let me assure you, I'm still the same old John, just a bit more optimistic today. Spending time with economists has given me a new perspective, and their cautious optimism is starting to rub off on me. And to that, I say, no, I've just been hanging out with economists and they're rubbing off on me. These experts, who usually have a more reserved outlook, are actually showing signs of hope. They're cautiously optimistic that this trend might continue, and that's something worth celebrating. But trust me, this is good news, at least for now. While we can't predict the future with certainty, this slowdown in inflation is a positive sign. It gives us a moment to breathe and perhaps even a chance to enjoy a bit of financial stability. So let's take this moment to appreciate the good news and hope for more positive developments in the future. Okay, let's dive into the nitty-gritty, shall we? Today we're going to break down some crucial economic indicators that can help us understand the current financial landscape. These numbers might seem dry at first glance, but they tell a fascinating story about our economy's health and direction. The Consumer Price Index, which is like the inflation report card, is one of the most closely watched indicators. It measures the average change over time in the prices paid by urban consumers for a market basket of consumer goods and services. Essentially, it tells us how much more expensive things are getting. In April, the CPI showed that prices rose by a mere 0.2%. While that might not sound like much, it's a significant data point. This small increase is the lowest we've seen in over a year, indicating a potential slowdown in inflation. That's the smallest increase in over a year, and it's got economists doing a little victory dance. Why? Because a slower rate of price increase can mean that the measures taken to control inflation are starting to work. It's a sign that the economy might be stabilizing. Now, before you get too excited, keep in mind that this still means prices are going up, just not as fast as before. It's a bit like being on a diet and losing weight slowly. Progress is progress, but there's still work to be done. Consumers are still feeling the pinch, and the cost of living remains a concern for many. On a yearly basis, inflation clocked in at 2.3%, which is still above the Federal Reserve's target of 2%. The Fed aims for this target to ensure price stability and to avoid the negative effects of both high inflation and deflation. So, while we're seeing some positive signs, we're not out of the woods yet. But hey, it's progress, right? Every small step counts in the grand scheme of things. As we continue to monitor these indicators, we'll get a clearer picture of where the economy is headed. Stay tuned for more updates as we keep deciphering the data. Now, here's where things get a little less rosy. Remember those tariffs, the ones that have been slapped on goods from China and other countries? Well, they're still lurking in the shadows, threatening to rain on our inflation parade. Experts like Alexandra Wilson Elizondo, an economist with a name that's longer than a CVS receipt, warn that we could see larger tariff-related price adjustments in the coming months. In other words, those tariffs could push prices back up, offsetting the recent slowdown. It's like trying to lose weight while simultaneously eating a whole cheesecake. It's not going to end well. All right, let's move on to something a little more relatable. Food. We all need it, we all love it, and sometimes it can be a bit of a roller coaster ride when it comes to prices. The good news is that food prices actually fell by 0.1% in April. That's right, a decrease. In a world where it feels like everything is getting more expensive, this is a small but welcome relief. Imagine walking into your local grocery store and seeing that your favorite items are just a tad bit cheaper. It's like finding a little treasure in your everyday routine. And the star of the show? Eggs. Yes, those humble, versatile, and protein-packed little wonders that can be transformed into so many delicious dishes. From breakfast scrambles to decadent desserts, eggs are a staple in many households. Remember when egg prices were soaring higher than a SpaceX rocket? It wasn't that long ago when we were all feeling the pinch. Empty shelves, high prices, and the frustration of not being able to find a carton of eggs without breaking the bank. Well, they've finally come back down to earth, plummeting by a whopping 12.7% in April. That's a significant drop, and it's certainly something to celebrate. Imagine the relief of seeing those prices fall, knowing that you can once again enjoy your favorite egg dishes without feeling guilty about the cost. That's enough to make you want to whip up an omelet the size of your head. Picture it, a fluffy golden omelet filled with your favorite ingredients, cooked to perfection and enjoyed with a smile. It's the little things in life that bring us joy, and a good omelet is definitely one of them. Of course, egg prices are still higher than they were a year ago, but hey, we'll take what we can get. It's a step in the right direction, and it gives us hope that maybe, just maybe, other food prices will follow suit. So next time you're at the grocery store, take a moment to appreciate those eggs and the journey they've been on. After all, every little bit helps in making our lives just a bit more affordable and enjoyable. Section 5, Energy Prices, a mixed bag for consumers. Now let's talk about energy prices, which have been as volatile as a teenager's mood swings lately. After a nice dip in March, energy prices bounced back up by 0.7% in April. Gasoline prices, which are always a hot topic, remain relatively stable, hovering around $3.14 a gallon. That's still lower than last year. But let's be honest, it's not exactly cause for celebration. Section 6, Core inflation holds steady. What does it mean? Okay, time for a quick economics lesson. You see, there's something called core inflation, which excludes volatile food and energy prices. It's like the inflation report card without the gym and art classes. In April, core inflation rose by 0.2%, matching the overall inflation rate. This suggests that the slowdown in inflation isn't just due to falling food and energy prices, but is a broader trend. So, what does all this mean for the Federal Reserve, the folks who control interest rates? Well, they're probably breathing a sigh of relief right now. The Fed has been raising interest rates like crazy to try to tame inflation, but with inflation cooling down, they're expected to hit the pause button on rate hikes, at least for now. That's good news for borrowers, as it means loans won't get more expensive in the near future. Now, you might think that this unexpected slowdown in inflation would send the stock market into a frenzy, but you'd be wrong. The markets reacted with a collective shrug, with stocks barely budging after the inflation report was released. It seems like investors are still trying to figure out what this all means in the long run. So, where do we go from here? Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The slowdown in inflation is certainly welcome news, but it's too early to declare victory. Those pesky tariffs could still rear their ugly heads, and other factors like rising housing costs could keep inflation elevated. The Federal Reserve will be watching the data closely, ready to adjust course if needed. As for consumers, well, we're still facing higher prices for many goods and services. But hey, at least eggs are cheaper, right?